And it's another one. Yes. The Solomon Project, where it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns. And you can find us here on YouTube as well as Spotify. Yes, indeed. We got our podcast up and running finally, after some error messages, some complications, some defects, but we're good to go now. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Head on over to Instagram at XL_rooster. Yes, you heard correctly. XL_rooster on Instagram. So we are exiting this TA truck stop in Cowpen, South Carolina. Cowpen. You been there? Well, we're leaving right now. We're on our way out. Crazy stuff going on. Let me start off with something for the truckers. On the 20th, there was a deadline for drivers who pop positive on their pre-qualification drug testing. Pre-qualification. So if you were applying for a job at a trucking company, you had to take a drug test. And if you did, and you popped positive, your name was added to a database. And that database is part of what's called a clearinghouse. The clearinghouse. Before, back in the day, when I started driving, when they used to use stones for wheels, you used to take a test. You know what? Now that I think about it, I don't even remember taking a test. I don't remember pre-qualifying with a drug test. I don't remember. It's been, well, later on, of course, as I applied for other trucking jobs, yeah. But I don't remember when I first started. I don't recall taking a drug test. Either my memory's failing me or it's been that long ago. Well, back in the day, there was a time when you could take a drug test to pre-qualify for a trucking job. And if you failed, if you popped positive, that result stayed with the company that you applied for. So you can go to another company, take another pre-qualification drug test, pass it the second time around that you've taken it. Well, not... Okay, hold on. Because it's not the second time, really. It's the first time with the new company. But by that time, your system is clean. And you take that test. Now that you're clean, you pass the pre-qualification drug screen. And assuming that you pass everything else, you know, the road test and everything else, you are in there like swimwear. You're good to go. Then they came up with the clearinghouse. The industry came up with the clearinghouse. So what happens now? What does that mean? What's going on? What is this clearinghouse thing? Well, Now the clearinghouse is a means by which they take the results of these drug tests and they put it in a database that all the trucking companies can access at any time. Okay, I'm saying at any time, but honestly, I don't know if there's some kind of restriction as to when you can go into somebody's driver's history. In any event, when you took the test before, it stayed in-house with the trucking company that you took the test when you failed. It's not in-house anymore. It's all over the place now. So when you go and apply and take the pre-qualification drug and alcohol test now, it goes into the database. So when you go to another company after popping positive for the first one, you go to the second company where you're clean. Oops. Sorry. According to the data, you had popped positive before. What? How do you know that? Because now it's in a database. That's what the clearinghouse is all about. So, then there was some program, I guess, that the truckers were allowed to participate in, apply for, called the SAP program, the Substance Abuse Program. I think that's what the acronym stands for. And there were companies that were willing to take on drivers that had participated or applied with the SAP program. And they had to make sure that I'm guessing right now about this part that I'm telling you, I'm guessing they had to pop negative whenever they took a test for a determined period of time so that they can get out of the program and have the ability to apply to any other trucking job. Again, I'm guessing, I'm not. You could look into it. But then the Department of Transportation flipped the script. They changed it up. The Department of Transportation came through with a new regulation. You got to go through some kind of process in order for you to retain your CDL status. If you didn't go through that process, if you didn't follow through with the process, your CDL status was going to be reduced to just regular driver's license status. The deadline was the 20th. What's today? The 21st? Yeah, the deadline was yesterday. Or the deadline was the 19th. And the 20th was when the Department of Transportation was going to act on what it had promised it was going to do. So the figure I heard of people that had their CDL licenses reduced to a regular driver's license was 177 1,000 drivers. And if I'm not mistaken, the DOT also added that companies were no longer allowed to hire SAP drivers. I'm not 100% on that. Please check it out. When I saw that, I thought about everything I went through to get my license. The money I had to pay. The time I had to spend in a classroom, outside of a classroom, in the yard, struggling with maneuvers, backing up in so many different ways, parallel parking, blindside, docking, everything, you name it. The big one was the pre-trip inspection. Ooh-wee! Oh my loving God. That pre-trip inspection. That was serious. There are so many things on that list that you have to point out to an inspector when you're taking your exam. And you can't miss not one of them. Not one. Not one. And where I took the test, you can go through all the parts of the test. So you have the pre-trip inspection before you even do maneuvers. Then you got to do maneuvers. And while you're doing maneuvers, you have to explain everything you're doing. Why are you looking at this mirror? Why are you looking at that mirror? How far back are you? Oh my goodness. And then after you do your maneuvers, once you pass both of them, it's time to go on the road. You go on the road, and when I took the exam, it was on a manual transmission. There were no automatic trucks when I took the exam. So it was on manual transmission. So don't be grinding them gears. Or if you do grind, make sure it's a light grind and keep it moving. Don't forget, you can't change gears when you're going over a railroad track, and they will take you over a railroad track. Don't roll backwards when you're on a hill. And they will take you to a hill. And you will have to stop at that hill while you're inclined, okay? Not at the bottom of the hill. As you're going, where they took us, you had to go up a hill and there was a traffic light. So you were still inclined at that red light and you had to take off. And when you do take off, don't let that truck roll backwards. Not even a little bit. Let's say you got another, I don't know, half a mile to go before you reach the area that you're taking your exam. Half a mile now. You're almost there. You're almost home. Something you did wrong caused you to fail. Now you have to take the whole test all over again. From the pre-trip inspection to the maneuvers and then the road. I'm going to tell you right now, the pre-trip inspection alone was nerve-wracking. The pre-trip inspection alone You have to talk about your tires, the depth of the treads, how much is it supposed to be on your steering tires, what's the depth of the tires for your steering tires, what's the depth of the treads for your drive tires and your trailer tires. Are there any cracks or cuts on the tires? Are they properly inflated? You got to kick them all over the place. Is the rim cracked? Are any nuts loose? Pause. You got to touch all the nuts. You got to touch your nuts, all of them, to demonstrate that you know what to look for. Of course, they're going to give you a tractor and a trailer with everything functioning properly for you to head out and take the test. Otherwise, whoever's performing the exam, whatever inspector is performing the exam, they're not going to let that truck out on the road. And they're going to check with the mechanics and everybody else at the site. I say mechanics because we took the test right out of the school and we had a shop there. But of course, the equipment is going to be pre-inspected by mechanics and all that good stuff before you go out on the exam. But you have to demonstrate that you know what to look for. You ain't going to get a pass by saying, well, it's the school's truck, so they have to have... No, that's not. That's not the test, buddy. Anything that's screwed onto the truck, you got to pull on it. Let them know it's secured. Mirrors, clean, not cracked. Windshield, clean, not cracked. Fire extinguisher fully charged. On your panel on the inside, your panel is working as it's supposed to. All the gauges are working. They're clean. You got to do a brake test. You got to know how to do the brake test. It's a process. And you got to do the process exactly as you're taught. You have to inspect the trailer, inspect the fifth wheel. You got to go under the trailer, check the jaws, make sure it's on. It's completely on and whatever the term they're using now. Listen, the lights, got to make sure they're all working, that they're not cracked. The headlights, clean, not cracked, working. You got your high beams, you got your low beams, you got your directionals, you got your hazards. It's a list. It's a long list. And if you miss just one little thing on that list, here's the paperwork. Go to DMV, schedule a new exam. Oh, man. You'd be surprised how many people fail just on the inspection, on the pre-trip inspection. I'm standing there outside. It was cold. Not too cold, but yeah, it was, because it was somewhere near the middle of the end of October when I took my exam. I definitely didn't want to be the first. I was leaning back. And as I was leaning back and watching oh my goodness, the amount of people that failed on just the pre-trip inspection had me nervous. The amount of people that failed during the maneuvers had me even more nervous. And when they came back from the road with that failure, oh my God, this was it. From all those people that failed and had that sad look on their face, they were about to leave. I told them, listen, do me a favor. Stop by the store and get me a pair of Depends, please. I don't think I think I might lose it while I'm taking this exam, so get me a pack, please. A pack of Depends. I'm doing the pre-trip inspection. Going through the whole thing. I took my time. I wasn't trying to speed up. Took my time. I made sure before I left one area, one corner of the truck, before I left there, I just double checked in my mind as quickly as I could. Moved on, because there was a time limit also. Don't go crazy now. There was a time limit. So I made sure I passed the pre-trip. Whoo! Man, that was a relief. Now it's time for the maneuvers. The maneuvers, there was one maneuver that had me nervous, and that was the blind side. Blind side had me nervous because you were allowed to go back and then pull up, but you were only allowed, I think, 2 pull-ups or something like that. No, not the underwear, not the diaper pull-ups. You're allowed to go forward in the truck. I think it was 2 times, and then back up. That one had me the most concerned. But I got through the maneuvers. Whoo. Now comes the road. In the road, I was deathly afraid of the double clutching and the gear shifting. Because in a truck, unlike a car, you have to double clutch. So you gotta clutch. Okay, the first time you clutch to get it in the first gear. It's not really first gear, you start in second. But to get out of that gear and into third, you gotta clutch to get it into neutral, then you gotta clutch to get it into third. The same thing when you're going to fourth. You gotta clutch to take it out of third into neutral, and then you gotta clutch again to get it into fourth. Now there's a way of going from one gear to another without clutching at all. That's called floating. But you can't do that on the exam. You will fail immediately. They want none of that. They want you to double clutch. So that was a huge concern for me. And let me explain. Let me give you some context. While you're at the school and you're using the equipment and it's time for you to take the exam, you don't feel, or at least I didn't feel like I had enough time on the equipment. I really didn't. So when it was my turn to take that road test, oh my goodness, I was nervous. Oh, something I failed to mention about the pre-trip and the maneuvers. The person giving me the exam would scare the spices out of me. Because when I was done with the pre-trip, they would ask me, "Is that it?" And I would sit there scratching my head like, oh man, is it? Oh. So I had to build up the courage to say, yeah, that's it. And then the inspector would just look at me for like 3 or 4 seconds without saying anything, without any gestures, without nothing, just like a blank or or a look with no expression on his face at all, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is it, man. Damn, I gotta go. All right, let's go to the next station. Oh, ho, ho, ho. What? Seriously? You did that to me? And he did the same thing to me on the maneuvers. When I got out and checked to make sure I was within the lines, that I didn't hit a cone, that I didn't hit a flag. And he would ask me, are you done? You sure you're done? Oh my goodness. He had me sweating again. What do you mean, am I done? Fine. Yes, I'm done. All right, get ready for the road. Man, listen. I wish my mother was there, because I would have borrowed the same sandal that she used to throw at me. I was going to borrow that and throw it at the inspector. What do you mean, am I done? Are you... Oh, no. Why you do me like that? And the same thing when I was done with the road. And it was nerve-wracking. I'm sure you saw the same thing, or you remember the same thing happening when you took your road test for your regular license. The inspector or the person who was giving you the exam was steady writing something on his clipboard, scribbling away. And every time he was scribbling away, I was thinking, oh man, what did I do wrong? Am I gonna fail this? Unless you do something really crazy, they'll tell you on the spot, hey, just let's go, you're done. No. Sometimes they wait till you're all done, back at the yard, and then they hit you with the this, that, and then you did this, and because of this, you failed. He started out telling me, look, I took a point here for that, took a point there for that, and I'm trying to add these points up without even knowing how many points will make me fail. I'm just adding points, and I'm saying to myself, you got to be kidding me. All the way to the end, just to have him tell me to go back to the DMV and reschedule. But nope, I passed. My first time around, I passed. My first time around, I passed. You have no idea. I wound up using the Depends anyway because I was so happy. I was elated with joy. And now I think about those 177,000 CDL drivers that are no longer CDL drivers. After going through all that, to have to lose, and then, and let me tell you, I had to get a student loan. Yes, I did. I had to take a student loan to go through the course, because I went through an accredited trucking school with a good reputation with the DMV. Not one of them fly-by-nights. Oh no, we weren't gonna do that. I don't know if you knew or know or found out or heard, there were a couple of schools in the nation that received a notice from the DOT, and then the students that graduated from those schools received a letter stating that their CDL is no good because the school you went to was no good. So now you got to go do the whole thing all over again. No good. That happened. I would not be a happy camper. But you know what? A lot of those people that went to those schools, listening to some that I know that went to those schools, they really thought they were slick like that. They were trying to, I don't know, game the system somehow. So I didn't feel bad for them. You thought you were going to get over, and that didn't happen. So we got a truck pulled over and a state trooper right behind him with his disco lights on. Not good. That's never a good feeling when you got that. Our tickets aren't like people who drive cars. Our tickets can be in the thousands. Yeah. No, thank you. Take your disco lights and go somewhere else. In the hood, there was a term that was used a lot that I can remember. And it was typically used when somebody got their butt whooped and they were sitting there licking their wounds. And somebody would come around because they probably got their butt whooped for doing something that they shouldn't have been doing. And somebody would come around and just say, don't start no, won't be no. Don't start no, won't be no. Who are they talking about? They're talking about you being an instigator. You instigated this thing, and now they flipped your beer cap. Now you're hurt. Don't start no, won't be no. However, there's something crazy going on. It's gone on for a long time. I don't understand this. But to illustrate what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you an example. You tell me. Because from what I understand, the way I was raised, and by the way, welcome to North Carolina. Cleveland County, North Carolina. Yes, we have just penetrated Carolina. Going back, let's say you want to buy a house. You go to the bank tells you what the requirements are for you to get a mortgage, and you hustle and struggle and do everything possible to meet those requirements. Finally, the day comes. You are qualified for a mortgage. You already know what you went to the closing because you agreed upon a price, you agreed upon this, that, the third. You got your mortgage payments all set up with the escrow and all the good stuff. You know how much the principal of the loan is. It's a 30-year fixed mortgage. Maybe 6%, maybe 7%, whatever. The point is, you got it. You got your house. Got your house. 3 years in, you've been making your mortgage payments on time. Everything's looking good. Somebody kicks the door in. You're sitting in the living room watching something, soap opera, sports, whatever it is, but you're chilling. Your spouse is in the kitchen looking up some recipes because they're really interested in some new and improved idea for dessert. Maybe they want to make a flan. Maybe they want to make a cake. That's what they're feeling at the moment, and they're in the kitchen looking through some recipes. If you got kids, maybe one of them is with you, another one is in the bedroom with the Xbox full blast, PlayStation, whatever. I don't know. Maybe you have another kid too. Child, not kid. Goats have kids. So your children are in the house, chilling, but boom! Somebody front kicks your door, breaks the locks. That's how hard they kicked it. Broke the locks. Now they're stepping in. They are stepping in. Yes, they. It's not just one person that's stepping in. Got about 6 or 7 dudes, big dudes, coming in. Now, you might be armed, whatever the case is, but you're not prepared because you don't sit in your living room with whatever weapon you got on your lap. That's not what kind of place you live in. That's not what kind of place you bought the house around. But these dudes come in, threaten everybody. They all go to one room of the house. They all go to, we're going to imagine that this is one story. Okay, a flat. So they all go into one room, close the door behind them, put locks on the door, lock it up. They're the only ones with the keys. They open up the window in that room, whistle, or call out to somebody, cuckoo, and here they come with tools. Start busting up a hole on the wall from the outside to the inside. Make a door. That door has a doorway with a door, and that door has locks and all that other good stuff. And they set up the room. They put up a bunch of whatever it is that they're gonna use in that room. I don't know, some cookware, some bean bags, whatever the case is. And you go to pull the door open and you can't, and you notice that it's got new locks on it, and you banging on that door. The guy on the other side opens the door and says, "What do you want?" And you say, "What do you mean what I want? What the hell are you doing?" And the dude on the other side says, "What you mean what am I doing? This is our room." Now you're looking at this dude like he is out of his mind. And you're asking him, "Are you okay, man? Is there something wrong with you?" And he tells you to get lost. That's their room. So you go over to where you got your 30-shot shotty stashed away. And you come back and bang on that door. Yo. Homeboy opens the door again, sees you with the 30-shot shotty, slams the door in your face, and everybody comes back to the door, and when they open it, you got like some high-powered stuff pointing right at your face. Now, you already know you could probably squeeze one off and then it's a wrap. It's over. So you back away. They close the door again. And you call the authorities. Say, hey, these dudes took a part of my house. The authorities are like, what you mean? Says, yeah. This dude came in here with his homeboys, bursted in, took a room, put locks on the door and everything. Now I can't access my one of my rooms. All right, we're gonna go figure out what to do, the authorities say. But here's the deal. Before the authorities arrive, you get mad, grab the 30-shot shotty, blast the door right by the locks. So you blast the locks to smithereens, and now you can go in and out, but those dudes are still back there, although you did hear some of them leaving to go somewhere else, so there's only like 3 or 4 of them in there. So now you got the 30-shot shotty. Your spouse got the Ruger. Your oldest is old enough to pack too, so they came through. So it's kind of like evenly balanced somewhat. Boom, 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 in both directions. Nobody's hit yet. The authorities arrive. And the authorities get on your case. And you're scratching your head wondering, what? What are you talking about? Why are you getting on my case? This is my house. I pay the mortgage. These dudes came out of nowhere. Yeah, but shots are being fired. I got every right. Nah, you started this whole thing. What? What do you mean I started this whole thing? Yeah, because you got the 30-shot shotty and squeezed the trigger. Sounds ridiculous? I think it is ridiculous. Somebody came out with a ridiculous state. I could not believe when I saw that statement. I found it to be so ignorant, so ridiculous, so out there. I just couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. I really could not. It has to do with Ukraine and Russia. Somebody had the nerve to blame the United States for the escalation that's going on in Russia and Ukraine. That person must have forgotten that this entire Ukraine thing got kicked off because of what Russia did, not the US. Listen, if I get sent into the scale, I may have to end this broadcast. Oh, I got lucky. Because I'm pretty heavy. I'm at 80,000 pounds. So, usually when you're at or close to 80,000 pounds, which is the maximum weight I'm allowed to have, they usually want you on that scale. But I guess I'm all good. Let's go. Yeah. So, that person had the audacity to blame the U.S. for the escalations in Ukraine and Russia. How bugged out is that? What kind of alternative universe did that person come from? You got to be from an alternative universe or another planet or something. Since when does the person who instigates something gets a pass? Since when? Don't start no, won't be no. 2014, Russia, Putin decides to invade a sovereign nation and physically take territory that belongs to the sovereign nation. Then they try to do it again. Just like that person in their house, somebody goes into their house and takes one of their rooms. What? They're not supposed to defend their property? Is that how it is? They're supposed to just give it up? No, buddy. Putin is the instigator. They went into Ukraine, which is a sovereign nation, through agreements made after the fall of the Soviet Union. There were a number of territories that were under the Soviet Union that became sovereign nations. I don't understand where this person can even think of blaming anyone other than the instigator, which is Putin. Listen, folks, I'm gonna leave it there. But please, stay fresh and keep it profitable. And don't forget, any questions, just go over to Instagram and you can DM me at XL_Rooster. And I'm gonna leave you guys with Kitty. Kitty, come grab these people!
Arabamda aça, seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedi kimseden fayda, işler